one of the suggestions was opening it up, the availability to some other boat classes and what have you. You got any suggestions or inputs or things you want to throw out there on that idea?
Well, there's the whole thing of being the line honors boat the first to the beach, but then getting corrected out by a boat that you couldn't even see when you finished. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but
what if we ran them in their own class? I mean, what if we
class racing is great. It's great, and I'm not necessarily opposed to like a handicap kind of race, but it's just really tough to do a proper handicap for a 500-mile race.
I guess the question for that would be what boats would you bring? I think the F-18s, they do great in this race. The NACR 20s do great in the race. The F-16 is probably a stretch for the conditions we get.
I would definitely open it up to the F-16s for a year and just see how they did.
That's probably the way to go.
That's interesting because that theory hasn't come up yet.
Okay.
You had the open class a few years ago where you had like a Marstron 20 and those kind of boats come and they do it for a year and where do they go, right? But I think that the F-16s there's quite a few of them around, especially in the regions.
Yeah, you're the first one that's brought that up. I mean, one of the suggestions was, and it was even from a 6-0 sailor, he said something like they'd like to come back in, and I said, it's great if you're just one guy, but bring me 5 boats and let's make a class. You're racing within your class, but you are competing against these other boats.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that is that you do have the race has personnel on the beach. We have race officials, and we want to be sure that the boats in there that we're not setting up half the night.
Right.
Because
That's
you
right.
guys get in early. I got guys on the beach. They get, you know what it is, Trey. You know what it is to come in and pull an all-nighter in this race when things just go flat. So, from that standpoint,
Well, that's not going to happen. This year.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to knock on wood too.
You're going to knock on wood too.
Well, not. And that's the other things that have been brought up. You can have your best day on the water, and then you can just have your worst. It just all went to the booger bear.
So the answer may be to have a class that, if you have 5 boats, you have a class, and if you have a hodgepodge of boats, you just run an open class. You have a Tornado show up, and an NACR 6.0 show up, and a Hobie 20 with a Spinnaker show up, maybe. That's the open class.
That's food for thought, and I remember when we opened it up like that one time. The Hobie, the 20s wanted to come, got one boat, and then he backed out.
That's the thing is, it actually takes a commitment from those people. There's a lot of people that like to talk and not do.
Yeah,
so.
I thoroughly agree. But then when they come in and find it, nobody likes being corrected over, and that to me it's.
Yeah.
It is painful. I've seen how painful it can be. I've been on that end of it before. And I'm not totally against it, but I just hate to see an effort that's gone all day long. We tried the correcting thing one time, and it took away from the fact that you had a first in your division, a first in another division. We just said, let's run it like this for a while and let everybody get their glory, but everybody wants to be the first to the beach.
Sure.
And there can only be one first to the beach.
Yeah.
So
we learned that today.
Yeah.
That's it.
3 seconds away from being first to the beach.
That was.
I think you got a good thing going though. If you got 5 boats, right? It's a class, right? That's kind of how you're running it now, I think. And then if you don't have 5 boats, maybe you get stuck in open. If you get at least 5 boats in open, then you have an open class.
We're considering that, but I really want to stay away from the open. I'll never say never, but I want to hear the suggestions, and I like to go back to the staff and throw these ideas and stuff out. And I talk with Trey quite a bit during the year. I mean, it's not every weekend, but when he comes through town, we get a chance to chit chat about these things. And I'm quite sure you'll walk away from here and from this race, and you'll go, hey, I got another idea. And that's, if I don't hear it, then I don't know about it, and I can't pass it on. So that's kind of the idea that I'm looking for. What is it that we're not looking at we ought to be doing? And the people that watch these videos might say, hey, that's a great idea. How about if we did this and see where it goes?
You know, Chuck, another thing that may be worth doing is, you know, they have the nationals for all these different classes. You know, they have the Altar Cup and everything, and maybe it'd be worth looking at, you know, giving a reduced entry to the Formula 18 North American champion. You know, to get them to come and do the race, give them a half-price entry fee or something like that. Just something to incent them to do it. You know, that maybe they wouldn't have considered it before. Just like if you win the race, you know, if you win the Tybee this year, then you have free entry fee next year.
Correct.
Same kind of thing. But you know, it's a perpetual kind of race. You know, you do it once. There are very few people that only do it one time.
I would still like to have 4 or 5 of a kind
Sure.
than I would one of a kind,
Yeah.
because then that boat feels like he's competing overall,
Right.
but he's actually
got class.
reaching for a ring.
Yeah.
And has a chance to pull that win out over his own guy. But I'll take it to heart. I mean, we'll go with what we got to play with. Anything in closing you guys want to add? Anything else, incentives or things you want to go with?
Ideas? You know, the one thing I think tonight was great with the way the Hobie fleet sponsored a dinner tonight. It was really nice of them, really generous. I think it'd be neat to have 2 or 3 nights of things. Not every night, but 2 or 3 nights of
To bring
events
everybody together.
that kind of pull people together. It can be, you know, very informal stuff with just burgers and beers. It could be something where we get a local restaurant to do something. We all got to chip in and pay for it or whatever. But some kind of thing, I think, on a few nights, I think would be really neat.
Well, you know, in Cocoa we used to put on Rib Fest.
Yeah.
The ribs were there, but the sailors weren't.
Yeah, because you never know if we're going to be there. You're right.
That having that food there.
Yeah,
and,
it's tough.
But but did you guys not go to the meet and greet party? I thought, my goodness, we threw a good.
It was a great party. Yeah, it was fun. Absolutely.
Wasn't that many
the
days
point.
ago.
Yeah.
That's the point, though. That was those kind of things, and like the dinner they have here tonight. You know,
They're good.
again, it's just
Pulls
as much
people
about
together.
the people in it.
It is.
Gives them
Yeah.
a good central
It is.
spot to come to.
One of my favorite sayings, or one of my favorite things to say, was something that someone else brought up. He said, when you get people together and you hear them laughing and talking, even though they're talking about the things they did all day long out sailing or whatever, you sit back. He said, those are called happy sounds. He said, every time you hear happy sounds, you're putting on a good event. And tonight was happy sounds, and all this week's been happy sounds, because I think the weather's been in your favor. It's been in everybody's favor. So,
Man, that first day, that was a tough day, though. That second day, actually. Both the first, man, this Tybee started with a bang. With a 100-mile upwind
Yeah,
sail.
Bailey and I were talking this morning. We left
And
the
then-
beach and it's blowing like 6 or 8. And we're like, this is a very welcome calm.
Boy, we needed a day like this. I mean, those first 2 days especially.
hopefully you got a
Powered
lot
up.
more of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it looks like everything's going to be pretty cool. You know, we're in Daytona right now, which when we left from Cocoa, but I'm going to tell you, anytime we get around Jupiter Jensen, that place scares me. I mean, I got a lot of memories of seeing boats get hurt.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we didn't get sailors hurt, other than their pride. But that's kind of the good and the bad of what we got to take on this. And I really appreciate your guys' time, and we'll heed your advice. Don't know whether we'll follow it all the way, but it's more things to put into the pot, stir it up, and see what kind of drink we can make from it.
Well, I definitely, in closing, would say that, teams that are on the fence about it and that feel like they need the support, that the Velocity program is the magic bullet. We'll get them. That's our goal as a team. That's Allie's deliverable, is for our boats to finish.
You want to tell them how to contact you?
Yeah, you can
look right in that
reach
camera.
me velocitytrey@gmail.com. So velocitytrey@gmail.com. Or you can reach me through Chuck before Joe.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
All right, man.